My name is Nick Foley, and I work with Casa, customer support representative here. I work primarily with our gold and silver customers that we have here at Casa. So what we're going to do during this webinar demo is we are going to set up the Casa app. So for the purposes of this demo, we are assuming that if you're following along, assuming that you've already set up your hardware wallet device, that means created a key with it or initialized it, the process where it shows you the seed phrase backup that it prompts you to write down. We do support 3 different hardware devices. At the moment, we support Trezor, we support ledgers, and we also support Cold Card, Mark III or higher. So those are the devices that we support. And as I'm going through this, I've already initialized this device. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add it to Casa here. So I'm going to open up my app. So you notice right off the bat here, I actually have 2 different wallets in the app. So my Multisig here is not set up yet. That's why you don't see any of these icons here connected. But at the top, I have access to a basic Multisig wallet, and then I can also switch over to a single key wallet. So a single key wallet is available to all gold and silver members. It is not Multisig, so it shouldn't be considered as secure as Multisig. The single key has a mobile key that is kept on your phone, and it's backed up to your phone's integrated cloud service. So if you're using an iPhone, for example, it would be backed up to Apple. If you're using an Android phone, it would be backed up to Google. So single key, like I said, it should not be considered highly secure. We recommend only keeping a couple $100 worth of funds in the single key, but it can be convenient. Let's say you want to spend Bitcoin when you're away from your hardware devices and you don't want to apply multiple signatures to a transaction. Maybe you're out to dinner with some buddies and somebody pays for your meal and you want to hit them up with a little bit of Bitcoin. You can do that with a single key, and it only requires authentication from your phone. So it works very similar to other Bitcoin wallets, other mobile wallets, that is. You can scan a QR code to send, and then you can send that way. And it only requires the approval from your phone. Over here, we have also the basic Multisig wallet. So the basic Multisig wallet is obviously, it's a Multisig, which is multi-signature. So it requires multiple signatures to spend. So total in Casa's 2 of 3 Multisig setup, there are 3 total keys. Any 2 of those keys in any combination gives you the ability to spend funds. So you can think of it as a safe with 3 keyholes. Any 2 of the keys in any 2 of the keyholes can unlock the safe. This has a lot of resilience. If you lose a key, you still have 2 remaining keys in your key set and your funds aren't lost. Likewise, it protects against theft because if an attacker were to totally compromise one of your keys, that 1 key alone would not be enough to spend funds. You do need at least 2 signatures applied to every transaction in order for them to go through. So those are the 2 different wallets that you have access to at the Casa Gold level. That single key, which we won't be discussing too much today, but the basic Multisig, which is what this demo is about. This is a fresh setup. I haven't set it up on this account yet. This account was created just for this purpose. So as we're walking through and doing the keys, I'll just explain a little bit about each. Let's start with the mobile key because we just went into how that is secured with a single key. So the mobile key is a separate key that's part of your Multisig setup, and it's backed up in a similar way. So if in this case, because I'm using an iPhone, that key is encrypted and it's backed up to Apple. The key being is that it is encrypted. So a malicious actor at Apple or somebody who compromised your Apple account and got access to that key, it wouldn't be useful because it's encrypted. It's only decrypted by your specific Casa app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap Set Up Mobile Key. So it says we've generated a new key on this device. OK. So it's done 2 things. It's generated a key that lives on my device, on my phone. If I were to ever lose my phone or break my phone, I could download Casa App, log into my account on a new phone. And as long as I'm logged into that same Apple account in the system settings of my phone, Casa App will detect that. It will pull that key from the backup. It will decrypt it, so that key will actually be useful. and then it will be available for signing transactions. So that is the setup of the mobile key itself. There's still 2 remaining keys here that we need to set up. We'll next set up our hardware device key. So I'm going to tap on that hardware device icon, and I'm going to tap Set Up Hardware Key. So it says we're going to send you an email with details to connect your hardware device to Casa, the essential step in enabling the creation of your multi-sig key set. Casa won't have the ability to access the private keys or funds. Okay. So these devices are really cool because when you connect them to your computer, they are not sharing the private key data itself when they sign transactions. So you're not putting your private key or your seed phrase online. Rather, it's just applying a specific signature for a specific transaction. So it can do that and not have to share that data when you're connecting it. So in this sense, this is why these are called cold keys, right? So I'm going to tap that Send Email button. And I'm going to wait for that to come, take a drink of water. I did forget to mention that if you all have questions during the presentation here that you think of, please go down at the bottom of the Zoom bar here. There is a box that says Q&A. So if you open that up and you type in a question there, then I'll try to go through all of those questions. I have my colleague Shannon here who's going to be going through and pre-screening those questions, I guess. But we'll try to answer as many as we can before the allotted time here. Okay, so I got that email, and I'm not going to show I have this open in a separate window, so I'm not going to show it on the screen share here. But I will open that, copy the link address. And I'll go ahead and paste that into my browser. So for this portion, when you add the hardware device to Casa, you do need to physically connect it to your computer. So you're not connecting it to your phone, connecting it to your computer, because this is how Casa's API can interact with Trezor's API to apply the signature to your specific transaction. So in this case, I'm going to be using a Trezor 1. So it says we're going to talk to your device, and I'm going to click Trezor. And we're going to exchange a public key here. So it says connect Trezor to continue. So I need to physically connect the Trezor here to my computer. And we are going to give Casa's API permission to read the public keys from the device. I'm going to click Export Public Key. And I got the message that worked. The app automatically updated. So if I go back in here to the app, I now have 2 of my 3 total keys set up. So at this point, it's safe to unplug my hardware device. I don't need it anymore for the purposes of this. If I were, when I ever go to spend funds, if I deposit funds and I want to spend funds from this key set, I will need to apply a signature from my mobile device, and I will also need to apply a second signature from my hardware device. So I don't need that at the moment. The next time I'll ever need this is when I go to actually spend funds from that key set. So the third key that we're going to talk about is the Casa Recovery Key, and it's the only one here that we haven't yet connected. So I'm going to tap on Casa Recovery Key. You can also tap on the Continue Basic Multisig Setup. The setup is guided in the app, so it'll prompt you to exactly what you need to do. If you're not following along in real time or you get lost in the process, the app is guided there. So I'm going to tap here, Setup Recovery Key, and set up security questions. So just to briefly explain the Casa Recovery Key, this is the only key that Casa holds on your behalf. So we store one of the keys. It's not enough to ever spend funds. So remember, this is a 2 of 3 multi-sig key set. In order to actually spend funds from your key set, you need 2 signatures. Casa can only apply 1 signature. That being said, if you do lose one of your keys, you can use the other key that you still have in combination with the Casa Recovery Key to actually spend your funds. So, let's say that this Trezor gets destroyed in some natural disaster, fire, flood, something like that. You can use the mobile key that's on your phone, and you can also use the Casa Recovery Key. If the Trezor device and the phone were also destroyed in the fire or flood all at the same time, keep in mind that that mobile key backup is with your Apple or your Google account, depending on if you're using iPhone or Android. So you could download Casa App and have access to that key. So that mobile key backup is very robust, and it does protect against things like natural disasters. So in order for customers to authenticate use of the Casa Recovery Key, that just means if you ever do lose one of your keys and you need Casa to assist you with a transaction to a new key set, we require that you answer 3 security questions that you set when you first set up the app. So that's what we're going to do now. These security questions, keep in mind, shouldn't be information that's publicly available. So, like for instance, what year did you first acquire your cryptocurrency? You know, if the answer that can be found on Twitter is 2015 as an example, you probably shouldn't put that as one of your answers if that's a publicly available. So I'll just put in the date here that I wish I had heard about Bitcoin, that we all wish we heard about Bitcoin. And I'm just going to go through a couple other questions here just to demonstrate the setup of the recovery key here. Okay, so all of these questions here are saved. So like I mentioned, you will need to re-answer these questions whenever you do request use of the Casa Recovery Key. So it's a good idea to not forget these. Writing them down is one option. Some other customers also choose to save these answers in a password manager. If you have a password manager that offers good encryption with that. So keep in mind that that is very important. If you ever needed to use the recovery key, you will need to authenticate with those questions. And there is also a 7-day delay between the time that you answer the security questions and the time that someone at Casa actually signs the transaction. The reason there is that 7-day delay is because it gives you plenty of time to cancel a transaction if it wasn't authorized. We want to avoid scenarios of in-person attacks where somebody forces you to unlock your phone and forces you to authenticate into Casa App and then forces you to sign with a mobile key and then forces you also to answer the security questions for use of the recovery key. Now, in that kind of scenario, it would be highly unlikely to be successful because of that 7-day delay. If we signed it immediately and you were able to send it out, then it would greatly increase the risk that an in-person attack would be successful. So that's one of the reasons why we have that security delay. Casa Gold comes with unlimited recovery signatures, so we don't charge a fee every time we do need to sign a transaction on your behalf. So that is basically the setup of all the keys here. So in Casa, I have 3 total keys. I have a mobile key, I have a hardware device key, and then I also have the Casa Recovery Key. So if I wanted access to my wallet, let's say I wanted to deposit some funds, down here at the bottom, there is an Assets tab. So if I tap on that tab, and then I go over here and I have a more specific view with more specific information about my 2 wallets here. I have one that's secured by basic Multisig, the one that we just set up. You also have that one that's secured with the single key wallet. So if I wanted to deposit funds, let's say into Multisig, I would just tap on that. And then down at the bottom, there is a receive button. Okay, so you could send Bitcoin to this address to receive. This is a burner account, so I will never send Bitcoin to this address specifically. Once you send to that address, you can either scan the QR by either scanning the QR code from another app or copying that address at the bottom. Then that will show up here in your transaction history. Once it shows up in your transaction history and you ever want to go to send funds from Casa App, just tap that send button down there at the bottom. You would input the amount of funds that you wanted to send. And I don't have any funds here, so I can't go through the process of actually sending it out. But at the next screen here, it will prompt you to input the Bitcoin address that you'd like to send to. So once you initiate that transaction, keep in mind this is multi-sig. So one of the signatures is applied automatically. That's the signature from your mobile key that's stored on your device. However, in order to actually send out that transaction, you do need to apply the second signature. So, that would be from your hardware device as well. So the process to sign from your hardware device is very similar to the process that we just went through. To add it, we will send you an email. You can click on the link, and then the Casa API interacts with the Trezor's API to apply the signature for that specific transaction. So that is a rundown of that. We also have integrated into Casa App a purchase function. So we have a big button that says buy Bitcoin. Our fees are very competitive. We are currently available for most US states if you wanted to purchase with a linked bank account. We also offer other countries in the world can also purchase with a debit card through Apple Pay. Our fees, like I said, are very competitive. The biggest advantage of purchasing Bitcoin through Casa App is that when the Bitcoin is delivered to you, it doesn't go into a custodial account like a Coinbase or a Kraken or a Gemini. It gets sent on blockchain directly to your Bitcoin wallet. So if you bought, let's say, $5,000 worth of Bitcoin, once that purchase clears and the funds are debited from your bank, the Bitcoin is just sent directly into your basic multi-sig wallet that you control, right? You are holding your own keys with a Casa setup. You can also choose to have it go to your single key wallet as an example. So that is the basic rundown of how to set up Casa App. I'm going to go through your questions here, and it's not too late to ask questions. So if you do have a question, please put it in that Q&A box down at the bottom. All right, let's take a look. Somebody asks, will we be covering how to upgrade an existing 2 of 3 multi-sig key set to a 3 of 5 multi-sig key set? So if you would like a separate personal demo of how our 3 of 5 product works, that's definitely something that our team can help with. If you email us, we're happy to set you up with that. I will explain briefly that the Gold membership comes with access to a 2 of 3 key set, which is what we were just looking up. If you choose to ever upgrade your membership down the line, you have a 3 of 5 key set that you would have access to. And in a 3 of 5 key set, you have 3 hardware devices, plus the Casa Recovery Key, plus the mobile key. So it offers more protection in the sense that you could lose up to 2 keys, and because you only need 3 signatures, you would still be able to spend funds. Likewise, 2 of your keys could be totally compromised, and you would still, the attacker still would not be able to spend Bitcoin for you. They would not be able to steal your Bitcoin because they would need to compromise 3 keys, which is a highly unlikely scenario. So Platinum and Diamond memberships, which have access to that 2 of 3 wallet, also come with dedicated client services reps and one-on-one onboarding and continuation support for that. If anybody's interested, definitely contact us, and we can chat more about what's right for you. Typically, our general recommendation is that if you're storing, if the value of your funds starts to become between 50 to 100,000 or more than that, you should definitely think about upgrading to either a Platinum or a Diamond plan. That being said, there's absolutely no limit to the amount of Bitcoin you can store on any account. So you could potentially store more than that value in Casa App at the Gold level. There's nothing that stops you from doing that, and that's by design. Let's see. Someone asks, what is stopping someone who gets access to your cloud account and unencrypting the mobile key? So access to your cloud account by itself would not mean that you would be able to decrypt the mobile key. So the mobile key is only decrypted by your specific Casa app. So if that backup file that's with Apple or Google were to be compromised, it's encrypted, so the information would be useless. Let's say that the attacker was able to totally decrypt your mobile key. Keep in mind that if it's part of your multi-sig setup, then it is one of 2 keys that are needed to actually spend funds. So a total compromise of your mobile key by itself does not mean that you have your actual Bitcoin are compromised. Let's see. Looking through the questions here. Thank you guys so much for asking all the good questions. Someone says, I set up the Trezor on my computer, but it doesn't show that it's connected to the app on my phone. Okay, there's a lot of other specific information that we would need for you. If you email help@team.casa, if you have a screenshot or a specific error message that you might be getting, definitely email that to us, and we're more than happy to assist with that. There are like a small handful of reasons why that could happen, so we just want to make sure that we give you the best support. Someone says, if Casa goes out of business, how do we use the cloud key? So you're asking about the mobile key. So just to briefly explain that Casa has a feature called Sovereign Recovery. And Sovereign Recovery is kind of a disaster scenario in which Casa totally goes offline without warning. We don't plan on doing that, but as part of our philosophy of eliminating single points of failure, we don't want Casa itself to be a single point of failure. So if Casa totally went offline without warning, you still have the keys that are necessary to spend funds. We have instructions on how to recover funds in Electrum, as an example, which is an open source third-party app that you can use. There's nothing proprietary about the private keys that you're using in Casa App. They're not generated specifically in Casa App. They won't work just with Casa App. You can use those private keys elsewhere. With regards to the mobile key specifically, we do have a feature to export the seed phrase from the mobile key. So if I were to go over here and tag export private key here at the bottom. So just to briefly explain, this will block your key from being used in the Casa app. Again, this is intended for a disaster scenario. So this exports the key. This action by itself is it's powered by the app. In other words, this is not powered by our servers. So if you're already logged into Casa account, your Casa app, and Casa itself is completely offline, our servers are unresponsive, you can still export your mobile key seed phrase because this is being done by the software that's already been downloaded in the app. It's taking place there. If you are worried about the mobile key or worried about being logged in at such time, I will point out we do have the ability to replace your mobile key optionally and use a second hardware device key instead. So for example, I could have a setup where I have a ledger and a cold card and the Casa Recovery Key. And that would eliminate the need to use the mobile key altogether. Maybe you don't trust Apple or Google. That's fine. We're with you there. Maybe you're worried about being locked out of your account. Maybe you're worried about other kind of scenarios. Then certainly you can opt out of that. Someone asks, does Casa know my Bitcoin balance after this process? So because of how our infrastructure works, and how we set up and are able to monitor our own internal systems. For example, when you are sending funds from Casa app and referencing the blockchain, you're referencing Casa's node. So you're connecting to our node. So as a result, yes, a small subset of Casa employees are able to view customer balances. We restrict this information, and its access to it is secured by other methods, which we don't go into publicly. But yes, Casa does have the ability to view your balance specifically. But we never have the ability to actually spend customer funds. Someone asked, what is the benefit of buying Bitcoin directly with Casa? So the main pitch is that the Bitcoin that you purchase in Casa app are being sent directly to the keys that you control. It's not going through an exchange intermediary or somewhere where it has even temporary custody with a third party. Let's see. The device I was asking about was the Casa node. Was that related to the Trezor question? So we don't have the ability to connect a hardware device to the Trezor. I'm sorry, we don't have the ability to connect a hardware device to the Casa node. Let's see, someone asks, if a key is compromised, can you replace it with a new key? Absolutely. So let's say that I lost my hardware device key as an example. In the app, you can mark the key as compromised. I'm not actually going to do this now, but this means you'll no longer be able to use this key to send funds outside of Casa. Okay, this is intended to be used only if your key is lost, damaged, stolen, or being replaced. and you don't want to mark compromised more than one key at a time. What this does is it marks that as compromised, and then it prompts you within the app to set up a new key set with a new hardware device. Once you've done that, then you can use the 2 remaining keys that you have in your key set, and you can send funds there. Let's say that you just wanted to do, we call it key rotation. So let's say that you just wanted to do a key rotation, not because your key was actually compromised, but let's say that you just wanted to upgrade, you were using a ledger and you wanted to upgrade to a cold card. So that's something you can do within the app, and you wouldn't need the Casa Recovery Key because that ledger is part of your existing key set, and you can use that to sign a transaction that goes over to the new key set that has the cold card. So that is a guided process within the app, and it's something that is very difficult to do with a do-it-yourself Bitcoin multisig solution. So Casa is kind of a guided solution, or in that sense. Someone asks, do we plan to support Engrave 0 cold wallet? I believe that's another hardware wallet device. We are definitely analyzing and want to add more hardware devices. We want to make sure that the devices have a good track record, are proven secure, yeah, we would love to add more hardware devices in the future. Absolutely. I don't know about that one specifically. So someone asks, can you provide any information about purchasing Bitcoin through Casa if using Casa for a multisig for IRA through Choice and Kingdom Trust? Does the Bitcoin have to be purchased through the Choice platform, or can it be purchased through Casa? That is it's a tax-related question. I wish I could answer that. We do have a promotion with Choice. So if you are a Choice customer, you can reach out to them and say, you know, I'm interested in holding my keys with Casa. They'll do an intro and give you a coupon for your first year of Gold membership for free. So that's an option. As to the specific tax implications, that's something that would need to be answered by Choice and not us. Looking through other questions here, we'll try to get to them all. Someone asking, if we send Bitcoin into the hardware wallet from an exchange, will Casa Multisig be automatically updated or needs extra approvals? So that's a great question. And so most of the people are used to using these hardware devices as their own wallet. And so you might have a hardware device that has some Bitcoin on it already on the single signature key. Maybe you have a device that has some altcoins on it. You can add that device to Casa as part of your multisig setup. However, it will not be visible in Casa app. Because what you're doing when you're adding this hardware wallet to Casa is that you are creating an entirely new wallet, an entirely new key set. So let's say that you had one Bitcoin on this device that you interact with from Trezor.io, and then you added the device to Casa. It's totally expected that you would have a 0 balance in Casa app. What you would have to do if you wanted the funds to then be secured by Multisig is go into Trezor.io and then deposit to that Bitcoin receiving address that the app shows you in your Multisig setup. And that makes an on-blockchain transfer, right, to this new key set. So you can use a hardware device. We do recommend that whatever hardware device you use with Casa, you use it specifically and dedicated to Casa, rather than using a device that already has other coins or anything like that on it. All right, next question. What happens if I'm not logged into the Casa app, but I still want to export? I still wanted to export the mobile key. In this scenario, your servers are down and cannot verify my login. So yeah, that's true. In order for the app to actually export your mobile key, you do have to be logged into your app. And the app does keep you logged in. It doesn't boot you out after a time period. Android might be a couple weeks or something like that. But as far as I know, it doesn't boot you out. If that is a big concern, then I would definitely recommend opting out of the mobile key and using a 2 hardware device setup instead. So you have 2 hardware devices and no mobile key at all. Okay, so I think, John, that also answers your next question. It's very similar. Will there be more Casa nodes for sale? We have discontinued the Casa node. We don't plan on manufacturing any more nodes. Multisig has always been our core product. The node was another product that we launched after that. We decided to discontinue it and focus 100% of our engineering resources and energy on making Casa App the best multisig experience. So we do not plan on making any other Casa nodes. Okay, I believe that is all of the questions that everybody answered. I'll look through the chat really quick just to see if I missed anything. We don't have native SegWit now, but with something we definitely want to support in the future. Where can I find the encrypted backup? If you go to Google Drive, I won't share my screen with my Google Drive account, but I believe the key says the key says Casa encrypted backups. So if you search Casa Keymaster backups. All right, yeah, so if you search Casa Keymaster Backups, maybe in Google Drive, you should be able to find that file. You won't be able to view it. It's really only useful in Casa App. If you ever wanted to, just by the by, if you ever wanted to check the integrity of one or more of your keys, you can always do a health check on the key. And when you do a health check here, like for the mobile key, for example, I'll tap Perform Health Check. And it says success, your mobile key is securely stored on your device and your backup has been verified. So with the health check, I can verify that my keys are ready to be used when I need them without actually having to test it by sending out a transaction. So it checked that the mobile key was on my device, and it also checked that the backup was secure with Apple. You can do the same thing for your hardware device key. You can perform a health check. And what that does is that sends you an email and you connect it, very similar to what we did in the setup process. So it allows you to verify the integrity of that key without actually having to spend a transaction. So it's kind of the sleep well at night check, I guess. All right, just looking through some more questions. Okay, I think that's everything in chat. Someone asks if we plan to support other cryptocurrencies such as Monero. We don't have any plans to support any other cryptocurrencies beyond Bitcoin at the moment. What is the difference or your strengths compared to Unchained Capital? So I'm not very familiar with their product, so I don't want to speak to them or anything like that. I think we both have amazing teams. Casa has how the mobile key is encrypted and secured, and how the Casa Recovery Key works, especially at the platinum and diamond level, are a lot of things that differentiate us from them. Let's see. Okay, so I think we got to all of the questions. Thank you so much for everybody who attended. Thank you so much for everybody who asked questions. Really appreciate that. If you ever have any questions, there is our support center, support.keys.casa, which we have over here in the screen share. And there's also help at team.casa, which is our help support email address if you have any specific questions that you can't find in our knowledge base. We're always looking on improving this knowledge base, but we also offer direct support. That's part of what your membership is paying for. And one of the reasons why you're paying a membership fee is for that support for the app. Bitcoin itself is open source and free, and there's no central leader. So, Casa allows the ability to get support for securing their Bitcoin for a decentralized product or decentralized currency that really has no central authority to do that. We also don't make money on advertising, selling your data, right? So this membership price reflects the real cost of the infrastructure that we're operating in the background and the service that we give to customers with that. All right, so thank you so much. I will sign off for now. Please help at team.casa if you have any questions or feedback about the webinar. Thank you so much. Bye.